everybody. This is Jamie Marbo Nichols, and I am here with Brandy Hooker Evans, and we are the Heart of Dentistry podcast. And we are here to help take the ache and put the heart back into dentistry. So, Brandy, we have a new topic that we wanted to bring up today that's been weighing heavy on our hearts because of our consulting and real life experiences in the trenches. So, why don't we go ahead and get started with what we are kind of considering? What the topic of this is: how does the heart go dark in our office, our dental offices? How does that heart go dark? And then what can we do to bring back the light?
Okay, so a couple of years ago, Jamie, I was filling in for one of my teammates, and I happened to be working in operatory 4. And at our office, in my personal practice, we use the ultrasonic for every single patient. And I show up, I'm pumped for the day, and I love to be helpful. And I get my first patient back, get the assessment done, super pumped to start with ultrasonic because, yeah, we're getting that calculus off. I love it. And the ultrasonic starts spraying me and my patient down. Water everywhere. And you know when you're hanging on to the ultrasonic and all of a sudden you're like, oh, because it just freaking burnt you? Yeah, that happened too. So I'm like managing the water. It's getting hot and I am just like, trying to trudge forward because we're on a time constraint here. And so I was like, what the heck is going on? So I finished that patient, like, hurry up, get to the next one. And anyway, needless to say, my day with the ultrasonic was a catastrophe. And I was joking about it to the other hygienist. And I was like, I don't know what I did, but I just ruined your guys' the ultrasonic. I mean, I showed up and it just went kaput. And the team was like, oh no, that one's not been working for a long time. And I feel like I got sucker punched, Jamie.
Yeah, because you're a practice owner. You're the owner of that practice with your husband, right?
Right. And one of our...
This is a double-edged sword.
It is, because I need my stuff to work. And one of our core beliefs, and it is something that I adopted from my husband, what is that it is imperative that we have the tools, the equipment, the education that we need to take exquisite care of each and every patient and have fun while we're doing it. We've got to be able to have a good day. He wants a brand new brownie. He does not want to dull anything. And he wants us, whoever us happens to be, hygienists or assistants, to have what we need to provide that.
What happened? Yeah, what happened? So obviously he wants them to have what happened. How come they've been just dealing with this and not bringing it? I mean, what happened? What happened to the why they wouldn't say why they needed good equipment if this is one of his top things that he says to the team? So what happened?
Well, looking back, hindsight is 2020. During that time frame was a period where we were not having regular team meetings. We were not getting together. I mean, we had all but deleted morning huddle, and we definitely did not have scheduled team meetings where we were doing CE, how's everything going, what do people need? We just weren't having those conversations because prior to that, we felt like we were really close and we were really strong and we were this great team that loved each other's company and our patients loved us. And so those same page keepers just kind of got dusted off to the wayside.
I hear about this a lot in my own when I come into new offices with coaching. So was there a day that somebody in the office announced, we are so great, we no longer need team meetings? How did this, because this is what kind of the heart of going dark, right?
Well, you don't notice it.
What happened? Like, can you guys even trace back to why you all of a sudden, it was just because you guys thought you were doing so good and everyone's on the same page and we don't need them anymore?
Yeah, things were going great. And whenever you're trying to schedule a team meeting and Liz helps out in the classroom on this day, and Jill is in charge of her church event on this day. And then pretty soon it's really hard to find a day that works for everybody.
I see.
And
So you have some part-time people. Not everybody's working on the same day. It's not like everybody punches in and punches out Monday through Thursday from 8 to 5. So now you've got all this different, which means even more reason to have these
we get together, right? And the other thing that was happening is our meetings and our huddles became very perfunctory.
What do you mean by that?
Like doing it just to do it.
Yeah. There was not a meeting. There was not
Yeah.
there was not an end result. There was not a outcome that you guys, the reason you're having it was lost. And then because of that, it was just a part of the everyday routine, which probably leads to why also your team meetings went to the wayside, because you guys, they weren't productive. They weren't meaningful.
Yeah. And it was like, it's super fun to see everyone. But if we're just buying lunch for everybody and high-fiving and heading out, like, is that really a valuable use of our time that is so precious? Because that's the one resource that none of us can get back. So
it comes down to communication, doesn't it?
Right. And you don't realize it because you're happy and it's good and things are great. And then this morning huddle gets skipped. And then pretty soon we're like, why are we doing the morning huddle anyway?
Yeah.
Then, the team meeting this month gets canceled because not enough people could come. And then next month, half the people don't show up. And then the next month we're like, well, let's just schedule one. And then pretty soon, nobody's shot.
Yeah, I think we got the idea there. And so it reminds me of something that I just went through because of the exact same thing, but differently, is having it's sort of the same, but having the team meetings, but not everybody feeling safe to communicate what is really heavy on their heart. So I just had this with the team where the lead hygienist was communicating with me that the team's really unhappy because they had had a passive aggressive morning huddle where something was thrown out at the doctor. He didn't take it very well, and he had a knee-jerk reaction that just started their whole day off horribly. And next thing you know, they're all ready to quit. Half the team. And we're not talking a big team. I mean, even one person quitting is, But so now I'm getting thrown in my lap this whole thing about the team not happy. So it can be as simple as finding out that the ultrasonics aren't working and why are we not communicating that, to people getting ready to quit because the communication is not safe anymore, right? So I think what we need to talk about then is how do we work around so that the little things, and when I do my speaking, I talk about the pebbles, and I give everybody a little pebble that's about this big, and I put it on their seat. And then I show my very first opening slide is this big boulder. And I talk about how when you get a little rock or a little teeny pebble in your shoe, what do? You take it off and you flip it out, right? You get rid of it, right? And lots of times in our offices and in our teams, we don't pay attention to the little pebbles. And all of a sudden, next thing you know, we've got this huge boulder, like in my case with my client. They have this huge boulder all of a sudden. And we had to have a real come to Jesus meeting about that. And so let's give our listeners some of our takeaways as to how we can keep those pebbles and get them out of our shoe before they become the big boulder where it takes a whole team or a whole mountain to get that out of the way so you can pass through safely. What's one of your first takeaways, or that one of your suggestions you would give, Randy?
Well, I feel like the obvious answer that hit me upside the head that day as I was swimming and getting burned, needed some sunscreen from the ultrasonic, or a hot pad rather. Maybe not sunscreen, I needed a hot pad. Is that we needed to have an opportunity to meet regularly. And we can talk, Jamie, maybe next time we'll talk about like how to make them not perfunctory, to make them be really...
I think that would be a great follow-up podcast.
But for us, what we needed to do was have a regular scheduled time where as many people that could possibly come could be there and could share what was happening, share wins, share frustrations, share equipment needs, and and feel as though they had a venue and a time to make sure that those pebbles were not getting stuck in their socks.
Yeah. Yeah. So a regular time, I like to coach that the departments have their own meetings so they can be specific about the needs of the department or the pains of the department, the pebbles, and do that once every quarter. So like say January is assistance, February is hygiene, front office business team is March, and once a month. And you bring those things up, the topics and what you resolved, because you can't just complain. You have to come up with resolutions. The other thing I like about department meetings for my coaching teams is that you have some of the people that are more vocal at all the team meetings. They're the ones that are talking, the ones either maybe complaining or whatever, and you get your quiet, more passive ones who sit in the way back, and they don't necessarily feel comfortable in bringing up their opinions or their suggestions in the whole big team meeting. So having the department meetings, no matter how big or small you might have one assistant. The doctor and the assistant can meet and talk. You may have one front office person and they can talk with the office manager or the doctor. You might have one hygienist. So it doesn't matter how many you have, but when you get them all together, you will notice that some don't talk and don't speak. So I like the department meeting so that you can have the one-on-ones with that.
I think that's a great suggestion. And
yeah.
I love, so for our team, something that's worked really well is once a month meetings for everybody.
Yeah, I agree with the once a month for everybody.
Yeah.
It's departments that are once a quarter.
Yeah, I think that's a great blend. And then, so what I'm hearing you saying is that the department gets together and makes sure that their particular responsibilities are being accountable and figuring out their needs. And then they also have an opportunity to report back to the full team.
Yes.
For that monthly meeting. So let's say Erica decided we were going to order new burrs. And so then when we get back to the next team meeting, everyone knows, hey, if Erica and Jenny are available and you have to sit with the doctor, we're using new burrs. This is what they are.
Exactly.
Et cetera,
Yeah. So that the whole team, it doesn't, sometimes we think, oh, it's okay. I told her, she'll tell the rest. And that's what happens. With this team that I was talking about, it was not feeling safe. So sometimes things happen to the leader. And in this case, the leader was having some health problems that he wasn't sharing with the team. And his knee-jerk reactions were making the team feel that they couldn't come to him and that it was not a safe place. So even being able to talk about that in one of these settings, one of these meetings would be helpful. He doesn't, we don't have to divulge all of our personal information, but if we can just say, hey, give me a little grace right now. I'm going through some health things. I'm going through some issues. I will do my best. I just want you guys to know, don't take it personal. It's just something I'm going through. Just something as simple as that to put the team at rest. Right. Bring their shoulders down and not take it personal is a good idea. So there's so many things we can do by having this open communication and dialogue. And I think too, Brandy, that if you're feeling like it's not a safe place, you need to look at yourself too. Now, if I'm the one that you're coming to, and I think we talked about this before, if I'm the one coming up to you and wanting to talk about something that's heavy on my heart, I have to be able to be a good receiver, and I have to know that this is a good time or not a good time. Right. And I need to say, I want to hear what it is you're saying, but maybe let's schedule it for tomorrow. Today's not a good day. And that's okay. That's okay to say that.
Well, it takes a lot of courage and bravery to be honest about these things, because I think in general, I believe with everything that I am, that in general, most people's intentions are really good.
Yeah.
Hygienists in my situation on my team, they weren't trying, even though it turned negative and turned into, I don't have what I need and this sucks. For a minute, we fixed it. But their first initial thought is, oh crap, the ultrasonic is expensive. I don't want Dr. Evans to have to purchase more equipment. Oh, I can make this work. And so the goal in not saying anything was actually coming from a really kind place. But the lack of honesty is what invites that darkness in. Because if we're not being honest about like what we need, who we are, what we need to take care of our patients, then we start to get agitated. We start to feel like we're not being seen. We start to feel unappreciated. And so then that darkness really starts to hurt and grow, but we don't necessarily recognize it when it first grabs us. And so that's my personal invitation to our listeners today, is to start practicing when something needs to be brought to light so that it doesn't become and then stay dark.
Yeah, I agree. And wrapping this full circle, if you're a business owner or doctor, both, that is unapproachable, or you feel like they come to you and the team is now feeling like it falls on deaf ears, you need to think about it, because you're teaching them how to not communicate with you. So it'd be really important for the team members to really choose their battles as to what they bring to the table and make sure that they have a solution for it. And I would say for the business owners to make sure that you are listening and that you give them a solution, not necessarily at that moment, but that you will say, I need to think about this. I need to look at my finances. If it is a financial burden, then we'll come up with a solution until we can afford it. But I think it needs to go both ways so that they don't feel like they're just being nagged at all the time for little things. And also for the team members to not feel that they're being dismissed. So hopefully we can get some resolution in taking the darkness in dentistry when it comes to lack of communication back to the heart of dentistry and the light that should be in every one of our daily in and outs of working in the trenches, because that's what all we want, right? Is to come to work happy and leave feeling satisfied that you did a good job.
Absolutely. So thank you so much for joining us today. We invite you to share honestly and kindly, whether you own the practice or are a team member. And we hope that this sheds so much light into your conversation today and moving forward. Thanks for joining us on the Heart of Dentistry podcast.
Thank you. See you till next time.